So, bro, in middle school and high school, nobody wanted to talk to me. No one wanted to have a conversation with me. And that was because I had the problem of asking too many questions about people. You see, I grew up as a shy kid, and from wanting to investigate and basically better my social skills, I've researched a ton of social videos, and something that I always saw within social videos is that if you ask the person a bunch of questions about themselves, they're supposedly going to be more warm. They're going to be more welcome. They're going to think that you actually care about them. So this was something I would do. I remember this one time I was meeting this girl in high school in class, and I went in there with the mindset that I'm going to completely dominate the conversation, just fake being the social guy and ask a bunch of questions about herself. And I did that. After the conversation, I asked a bunch of questions about herself, and I thought to myself, you know what? I wasn't awkward. I didn't pause. You know what? She probably thinks I'm some social guy. Sometime after this, I hear one of her friends talk about the conversation, and long story short, she actually ends up telling me that she thought I was cool, but I didn't even get to let her talk. I would ask her too many questions. She didn't even get a word in. And then I realized asking repeated questions about a person over and over is not going to help you in social situations. It wasn't until I realized that this thing that I realized is way more effective and actually gets the person to ask about you and develop that connection. And this thing that I'm talking about is saying statements. You want to basically say statements instead of questions. Now you might be thinking, oh, when I say statements, this is just about myself. Shouldn't I be interested in the other person? And I'm going to tell you why saying statements is way more effective when trying to develop friends, getting closer to someone, than asking them just straight up constant questions. So one of the main reasons on why saying statements instead of asking a question to the person is way more effective is because it forces the other person to either ask you a question or say another statement in return for a conversation to add on. For example, when you answer, when you ask someone a bunch of questions over and over and over, their first priority is not to get to know you. Their first priority is to respond. I remember this one time last year, there was a worker and he was from Congo. So he was new to the country, he was trying to make friends and he was a friendly guy and everything. And me and my roommate at the time, we were kind of just eating and he said hi to us. He introduced himself. But when he would introduce himself, he would just ask us a constant number of questions. And it's not that we were rude about it. It's not that we thought anything negative about it, but it kind of just forces you to just go through like a file scan. When someone's constantly asking questions, you just have to like think about it a little bit. And your priority isn't necessarily trying to get to know them closer, it's to answer the question fully. So if you're someone that's asking a bunch of questions to a person, it's not that they think that it's necessarily annoying, maybe it could be, but their priority is not connecting with you. And that's what you want. You want them to connect with you, and you're trying to connect with them as well. So they're constantly thinking about what to say next. They're constantly thinking about the right answer to say because that's what you're asking them. Now, if you say a statement instead of a question, this is going to be 10 times more effective. And here's why. Imagine I go into a situation, right? There's this guy there. I don't really know him as much, but he is someone that I've seen on campus. Imagine I go up to him and I'm like, hey, how are you, man? And he says, oh, I'm good. How are you? And I'm like, I'm fine. And then imagine if I ask this guy, so do you have lots of exams going on? He's just gonna be like, yeah, I just have 2 exams, right? So he responds with that. He's just worrying about answering my question. But instead of asking him if he has any exams, right? Imagine I ask him this. Hey bro, I know this is a crazy period right now. There's exam season going on. Every single person that I know has exams. I have a ton of exams this week. And instead of just saying, oh yeah, I have 2 exams this week, or yes, I have so many exams this week, he's gonna say, dude, I know, right? Like there's so many exams going on. My friend says he has this crazy calculus exam that he has, and it's just a little bit more exciting. He has something to say, and then when he says his statement, he's going to ask me something. He's gonna be like, oh, that's a statement. Because when he says a statement, he's thinking, oh, he didn't ask a question. He's just saying something in general. And assuming he wants to continue the conversation, which 98% they're going to do because they don't want to be rude, they're going to have to say a statement. And it's way more exciting. It's 10 times more exciting. Hopefully you can understand where I'm going with this. And another thing with statements too is that we see it constantly in movies. And because of this, it's just a little more exciting and it kind of keeps you on your toes. I remember this one time I was watching this influencer. His name was Eric Ronaldo. And what he does is that he approaches women, and his main goal, like his channel and like approaching women, is kind of being like an influence for guys to go and cold approach women. And what he does when he meets a woman, instead of asking them where they're from, he's like, let me guess, you're a Cali girl. Or maybe he'll be like, judging from that hat, you're maybe an East Coast girl. And saying this statement, well, this isn't necessarily a statement, but kind of pausing and making like it's more of like a stronger question. And it kind of keeps them on their toes because when you pause a little bit and you're like, let me think, you kind of just think about, oh, what's he going to say? Like, I wonder what he's going to say. He's pausing. He's not rambling. He's not constantly asking me questions. So keep these in mind. These are some things that have helped me tremendously. And I actually just went into a conversation using this trick as well. This girl had her original name. I was meeting her for the first time. She told me her original name, and then she told me about a nickname. And instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to call you this, instead of me just choosing one name, I was like, I'm trying to debate which one I want to call you. And she was just like, you could see in her eyes that she was kind of just waiting. She was kind of just like, oh, what's he going to call me? I wonder which one he's going to say. It kind of just keeps them on their toes, and it's 10 times more interesting than just saying a random question. So take these in mind. Hopefully you can use these into conversations and see how they transform your conversations. People are going to be more interested. People are going to say more about themselves, and they can relate to you and connect with you if you say more statements. Remember, you're not interviewing them. The purpose is not interviewing them. You want to connect with them to make that connection. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.